Hi all, welcome to DBTECH. So today we will see how to create listener.ora and tnsnames.ora files for Oracle database. So before going to that, we will just see how it is going to be working. Suppose this is my database server. My database server is 192.168.209.186. Here I have the database. My database name is DBTECH. Suppose application want to connect to this database. So if application wants to connect to this database, basically application needs to know the host name and what is the database they want to connect. We can call it as SID or the service name. And we have to know the port number. So these details we required to connect to the database from application to the database. Okay. So before connection, so here in the database server, we will be having one more thing that we call it as a listener. Listener, it is going to be having by default, when you create the listener, by default port number is 1521. If the default listener is running, no need to register your database to the listener manually. It will automatically get registered. That registration will be taken care by background process PMOD. So once the application wants to, if it is a non-default port number, suppose if you want to connect with your listener is running in 1621 port, if you want to connect, yes, they will mention the 1621 port number here. And what is the service you want to connect, or the SID, DBTECH, and what is the host you want to connect, which is 186.192.168.209.186. So this entire entry, we can call it as TNS entry or the connection string, which will keep it in the tnsnames.ora, or application will keep it in as per their application, Java or whatever the front end or Toad or SQL developer, they will keep all these details. Okay, coming to the listener, whenever the application trying to connect to the database, listener will verify, it will listen the connection. Okay, it will verify whether the port is correct or not and the service is running or not. Okay, upon checking, it will pass the connection and it will create the server process. It will create the server process. Once the server process got created, listener is no need to have any role here. It will directly communicate application with the database once the connection is established. That is how it is going to be working. So here the major part is that wherever the database is running, there you have to run the listener. From where you want to connect, suppose here I want to connect from application to the database server, right? Here we have to have the TNS entry. This is the major thing you have to remember. Wherever the database is running, there we have to have the listener, and from where you want to connect, that there we have to have the TNS entry. And we will be having two files here for the listener. In Oracle Home, in network admin, you will be having the file, all small letters, listener.ora file. And also if you want to have the TNS, it will be tnsnames.ora file. So listener.ora and tnsnames.ora. So now we will see how we can configure the listener.ora and tnsnames.ora. Coming to here, so this is my sample listener.ora file. So my listener name is listener_dbtech, and I have mentioned the host name. Okay, and the port number I want to give it as 1621. And for this listener, I want to register my database. For that reason, I have mentioned SID list. My database SID name is DBTECH, and it is currently running with this host. Okay, so let me create this file, listener.ora file in network admin. So this is my DB server echo. So this is my database ID, and this is my Oracle home. And go to your Oracle home. In your Oracle home, network admin. As of now, you could see that there is a file is there. I'm just moving as a backup. I'll create a new one. So vi listener.ora, I for insert mode, and I'm copying this entire entry. Okay, save and exit. So if you do cat listener.ora, yes, it is there. And if you want to start the listener, how could I able to start? lsnrctl start and your listener name. You can see, okay, there is a listener is already running. For that reason, I got the error. Let me kill existing one. Or you can stop it lsnrctl. Stop lsnrctl. Let me start the listener. So my listener got started. If you want to get the status, grab TNS. You could see that listener underscore DBTECH is currently running. You could see that listener underscore DBTECH is currently running from this hope. So if you want to get the status, lsnrctl status and the listener name. If you see here in this host, this is my IP address, host name -i. Or you could do ifconfig. You could see that this is my server 192.168.209.186. So currently it is running on this host and the port is 1621 and listener name is listener underscore DBTECH. And you could see that the service DBTECH is currently running. Okay, so with this part we have completed with the listener part thing. Now I want to create the listener and I want to connect to the database remotely. So here what I'm going to do is, here I have done 186 server. I have a listener with port number 1621 and this is my database DBTECH. Now from another server, I want to connect to this database. Here I'm going to create tnsnames.ora. Then I'll try to connect to this database remotely. Here the listener is already running. I have already configured. Okay, so this is my another server. Okay, with the same server I'm just doing that for just assume that it is a different server. So cd oracle underscore home, where my tnsnames.ora will be there, network admin ls-ltr. As of now, you could see that there is no tnsnames.ora. So let me create it. So this is the sample TNS entry. So I'm creating the TNS entry, which will connect to the 186 server and the port is 1621 and the service is DBTECH. For this entire entry, I have given the shortcut as DBTECH. So let me copy this one and vi tnsnames.ora. Okay, save and exit. Just re-verify tnsnames.ora. And if you do tns ping this DBTECH, what does that mean by DBTECH? This entire connection string. So you could see that it is giving the okay. If I want to connect, let me connect sqlplus sys and the password is welcome @ I want to connect to the DBTECH. Okay, as sysdba. See, it got connected. It got connected successfully. If you don't want to keep your entry in tnsnames.ora, but if you still want to connect to the database remotely, how you could able to do that? There is a simple way. SQL plus sys and the password @ just give this complete connection string as sysdba. If you don't want to give the complete connection string in tnsnames.ora, and if you want to test something, and if you have the host name and the port number and the service name, yes, you can give the complete connection string here and you could able to connect. So let me connect here. See, it got connected. Select name, open mode from view $database. So this is how it will going to connect remotely. And one more thing here, if you want to set the parameter, if the non-default port is there, this is your database server, 186 is your server, and this is your listener. Suppose, what is your listener? Port number 1621, which is non-default port number, and this is your database DBTECH. So if you want to register your database to this port number, okay, there are two ways, which I already used one method here. If you see, I have already mentioned in listener.ora file, I just mentioned SID list for this listener underscore DBTECH. I have mentioned, okay, just go ahead and register my database for this listener. But if you want to do it in another way, there is another thing you have to set in the database, that is local underscore listener parameter. If you want to register your database to the non-default port number, default port number is 1521. If you, that will be taken care by automatically. If you want to register your database to the non-default port number, you can mention the local underscore listener parameter. So how could I able to do that? If you come here, so you have to, let me show here. sqlplus sysdba show parameter local. If you see here, local underscore listener parameter is currently empty. So if you want to register your database to the non-default port number, which is other than 1521, yes, you can do that. So you have to do alter system set local underscore listener, and you have to mention the host name and the port number. So let me execute this. Now verify. Yes, your database is registered with this local listener. So this local registration and the listener registration will be taken care by background process pmon. This is how you can do the listener.ora and tnsnames.ora. And to summarize this again, listener.ora and tnsnames.ora, both files will be there in your Oracle home network admin. So listener, where the listener is going to run. So wherever the database is running, so suppose this is my database server 186. Here listener should run. Okay, this is my database. So from where you want to connect, suppose this is the another server, I want to connect from this to this. So my database is running here, right? So listener should run here. So from where I want to connect, there your TNS entry should be there. It is in different forms. You can keep it in tnsnames.ora, or you can directly connect, or SQL developer, or whatever it is. Here you have to mention the host, port, and service name. This is how you can do that. So this is how you can configure the listener.ora and tnsnames.ora. Thank you so much.